Well, so here's the Helicrafter with its little face off. Pretty easy to do. Amazingly enough, I got all the Bristol or spline set screws out of this without a fight. I did cheat a little bit. I oiled them, put a drop of oil in each one, but none of them had been bothered before, so a little wiggling and the old wrenches went right in and the face came right off. After you get all the knobs off. There's a couple nuts, and then there's like this headphone, and then the switches have some beauty rings and stuff, and some washers. You take that off, you kind of rock this loose, and then you open this little cute cardboard box and get the wiring out, and that just pops off. I'll just give that a real careful bath and a dusting, and be careful of stuff behind there. Be careful of these logos. You don't know how that's been treated or put up over the years. So here we are in the blue room. Stupid camera. Anyway, so this is the Helicrafter without its little face and the fleshy innards. So here's the drive mechanism, and this has basically been unmolested, which is really great. Also, when you take the face off, you need to wiggle these lamp bases loose, and the battery's gonna die. We'll be back. So here we are back. Interesting little. Well, I've had a couple setbacks here too. This has an onboard calibrator, and it sits in a tin can here, and it wouldn't work. So I fiddled around. I took it up. You take these two screws loose. You might have to have a long nut driver or a little baby socket set, quarter-inch socket set, and that comes up. And then there's a little bathtub that sits around this thing. It still didn't work after I took it up, cleaned it all up. And unfortunately, what's happened is this damn crystal is bad. I don't know if you can see this. This is going to be real tough. One side, it's the bottom there. It's broke loose, believe it or not. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I got a couple of choices. I can get another crystal. I ordered some. They're damn small. And I think what I'm going to do is hide it in the tube base. All I did was heat this with a soldering iron and just flicked the solder out until it came out, and then I just pulled this loose. It was already kind of cracked loose in there. And I think what I'm going to do is get that new crystal, and it's really tiny. It's a little tiny. I'm just going to hide it down there and then just RTV this one back in and then call it good. I could, get a glass cutter and cut that stupid thing open. And, yeah, I bought that. I guess a little. This baby is pretty dirty, but it's just dirt. This is what happens when you let these things get dirty. All this dirt settles on here, and then it attracts moisture, and then it makes a kind of an interesting little soup and starts attacking the chassis. So all this, wherever I did with a damn brush, oh well. I had a little baby paintbrush. I was cleaning this off. Yeah, this has also been somewhere kind of damp. It's got some, but it's in pretty good condition. You can see this little gear train here, kind of, and I don't know if we can see this down in here. I'll take a peek. Yeah, turn this a little bit. Yeah, see right by the edge of that light bulb, that black pin? That flies around, and this lever, I don't think I can do all this. Well, yeah, I can. Where's that at? This lever, this cam gets tripped and throws that lever down in the way, wherever the hell it went. There it is. Of that pin, and then that pin slams into that. The same thing happens over here. And I've actually been playing with this. This actually kind of works. It's a little shaky, and I've got the one filter turned on so that the DC won't get onto the grid of that output tube, the audio output, is a 6K6. But I was just, after I got the face off, I was looking, and I'm kind of cleaning around in here. It's a little gungy. There's some points that need oiling and stuff. And I didn't notice that. That came loose. I can't even pick the damn thing up. There's a little badge there. Okay, we'll kind of try and put that back. But I noticed this. I don't know if we can see this here. We're kind of in between a rock and a hard spot. The tube is broke. The tip is broke off of it, and I was going to look and see what that even was. It might be like the RF amp tube or something, which means this thing is hearing pretty damn good without a tube. So this baby might be I've been listening to folks. Oh, I can't remember what tube. I think that might be a 6U6 or something. It's an educated guess. I printed this out. You can find these PDFs online. There's the bandpass filters and stuff. A lot of HAllicrafters stuff has voltages for the tubes. I think this one is carefully missing. It's kind of somewhat on the print. Dang it. You know, no matter what sheet you look at, it's the one you don't have. I just mark the caps. I want to investigate and tick them off as I go. I just color them with a different color highlighter pencil. And make sure you get the right schematic for the right version of this. This is a Mark II A, actually. Well, dang it. Yeah, about that. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, somewhere in a ditch lies Aunt Martha. What's that, lassie? You don't know why this person can't get their act together before they get out the camera? I can't help you, Timmy. Anyway. Haha. It's always the last page. Yeah, so we're looking at the top. A 6CB6. Yeah, that's an RF amp. Ooh, that's pretty interesting. I wonder if anybody knew that was broke. The sun's going down. I work in here, and the sun comes through these windows and makes it nice. Well, hell. These tube containers, they're kind of bayoneted on there. They go down and they turn and pop up, and there's a little baby spring in there. Yep, that baby's gassed. Well, that's pretty damn clever. I wonder how that's RF flying across the electrodes. Sweet. Yep, CB6. The tips broke right off of that. Okie dokie. Well, let me do a little cleaning down in there, and if I can fire this up without the face off of it. It's a little confusing, but I can figure it out. Let me see if I can find that tube. There ought to be at least one in all that junk I got. Yeah, about that. So we'll clean all this up and oil a few of these things. And there's, like I said, there's a little baby steel cable dial string. Put some contact cleaner in appropriate places on these caps, try and get all this gunge and dirt. Huh, there's a stamp there. You can't really make it out. Usually the version of this thing is on the back. Yeah, this is upside down. But see right there, it says Mark II A. And I believe this number here is the serial number for the thing. Oh, and this is a different crystal out of a different machine. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't quite understand that. This all just pops out of there after you loosen these two screws. And there's only... there's a couple weird things there, too. There's something else I don't understand about this. This is, according to the drawing, there's supposed to be a cap, 2.2 picofarad, where that little red... And that's actually a diode. It's a 1N... 29 something. It's no good. It doesn't measure as a diode, so I'm wondering if they're using it as a coupling. 2.2 picofarad, it's pretty tiny. I actually expected to find a gimmick in there. A gimmick is two wires twisted together and just insulation between them will make a small capacitor. I don't know what that's about, but it does work, so I'm not going to fiddle with it. I might do a little investigation, but yeah, there's nothing inside there. It's like a 6AU6 and a crystal on a cap, and then they feed filament, ground, the signal back to right to the antenna, right to the input, and a high voltage. It's about 150 volts. So if you get a hold of one of these, you can make one of these run by itself, as long as you don't drop the damn crystal. Okie dokie, well, a little cleaning and fixing that tube, and we'll get back to you. Take it easy. Well, let's go on here. So we're on a merry chase. Actually, the chase has ended here. And yes, cat. The missus downloaded that cat, talk to your cat app on her iPad. It actually seems to have some effect. I'm not sure what the effect is, but no, beat it. We need the Beat It app anyway. One of the little annoyances I have here is the S meter won't simmer down. It was like stuck at S9. Well, you know, let's face it, really the point of getting a shortwave radio with a meter in it is to use it. So if it doesn't work right, it's no fun. It won't zero, or wouldn't zero. There's a pot on the back. You basically short the input to ground to knock it out, and then you adjust the meter to 0, and it's sort of rudimentary. It's kind of an interesting circuit. It's right here. All the resistor does is bypass, shunt the meter. You're just measuring current going to that tube. Anyway, it wouldn't zero. So, like a dummy, I replaced the tube. You know, a lot of times it's never the tube. I don't know why tubes have such a bad rap. You know, it's because they're in sockets and they're easily replaced. So I replaced the tube, didn't do a damn thing. So I got out my brain and used it to measure these voltages here. And this is supposed to be about 100, you can't see it, about 135 volts. So on mine, it's like 80 volts, and that's trying to cut the tube off and limit the current. Would explain why this thing seems a tiny bit deaf. Not bad, but after I fixed that RF amp tube, it pepped it up quite a bit. I was amazed how well it worked with the broke RF tube. So anyway, just for fun, I measured that resistor. And that's R15. Throw that off to the side. So you get out your voltmeter and you measure that resistor, and according to the blueprint there, the schematic, it's 820 ohms. It looks like a long ways from 820K, 8.2K. It's one of those. It's 8.2K. It's 36K, so that explains why the voltage was about 80 volts on that pin. So it was trying to cut the tube off, and that explains, you know, and then the tube couldn't draw enough current, the meter could never calibrate properly. One more down. It always worries me when you have resistors that just seem to wander away for no particular reason. The ones I always have trouble with, you'll have to excuse my messiness here, but are these little, these resistors. They look like they've been on the beach for about 30 years. They look like little pieces of wood, you know, kind of bumpy and lumpy. It's, you know, this is a more conventional resistor. My voice is giving out. But, let's see here, where if I can see another one. Yeah, of course, the only one I can find in that circuit is that one. I don't know, they're always really cheap looking and they seem to drift. Pardon me. So what I did was I just cut one leg loose, and it's obviously bad, and I've pawed through my resistors. I'm always amazed at how really far out these are. I'm getting kind of spoiled. But today's modern metal film or metal oxide resistors, those things are really on the nut. I always wondered what would happen if I went through a radio and just cleaned the thing out and started completely over and measured every component and put it back the way it was supposed to be in the like in the drawing. I have a pretty good idea that probably would really pep these things up and make them run right. I have a friend, Darwin. I helped him redo a Zenith console one time. He pretty much replaced everything in there, except the switches and some tube sockets and stuff. And after that, the radio really did perform amazingly well. It was a big console radio. It seemed to really transform the thing. Now, granted, we never really troubleshot the thing, so all that work could have been for one component. You never know. Yeah, this thing has a few suspicious caps. That one's actually been replaced. I believe this little disc cap has been replaced. They call these black beauties, you know, that are the bumblebee caps because of the striping. They're kind of notorious troublemakers. What happens is they're molded. They make a cap and then they sandwich it between two shells and glue it together or injection mold it together. They split and then water starts creeping in there and then they start swelling and then it's downhill from there. One of those, this one here has got to go. That's, you know, a radio this old from 1955 is it probably had at least one trip to the repair shop or at least one repair. And all these red cylinder caps or red paper caps or they're Cornell Duva or they're Big Chief caps. They're reasonably well behaved, but I don't know. It's probably, you know, while you're in there dinking around, you might as well just start measuring all this stuff. There's another resistor I'm a little bit worried about, and there's a cap there. That's the bypass, audio bypass and bias resistor or cathode resistor for the power amp tube. It's a little low and we need to get that fixed up. Okie dokie. Well, I just thought I'd show you that. I'm waiting for my set to warm up here. So I got the face back on. It's none too pretty, but it's better than it was. I've got just enough knobbing here. I've got another weird problem. I'm not sure what this is. When I first got this set, you couldn't turn it into standby, and the sensitivity didn't work. It's kind of an interesting little side note. The sensitivity control and automatic volume control are two separate circuits. It's very interesting. Anyway, it wouldn't turn off. Well, I took the set out and set it down on the table there, and then it started working. I thought, I didn't think nothing of it. Anyway, I had it back up on its side and it stopped working again. And it's something to do with the way you rack the set. If I take and kind of squeeze the face toward the back, it starts not working. That didn't make sense. It stops working. The switching there and the gain. And I think it has something to do with this switch. I squirted this switch a little bit. And we'll see what happens there. It's a very interesting intermittent. It's a very annoying intermittent. Okie dokie. Well, things are coming along swimmingly. And now that the meter is working, now I need to recalibrate it a little bit again. These zero sets on these meter sets are a little shaky, but I don't know. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to fire this back up. Mrs. would like to watch some television, and TV and my video camera aren't compatible, but she's a bit under the weather, so we'll let that go back the way it was. How's that sound? Okie dokie. Anyway, we'll be back in a bit. Have a groovy day.